I do apologize about the audio, but I'm having some lavalier microphone issues at the moment. So we're going to have to use the camera's, well, onboard microphone, and as I'm sure you can already tell, it's great. It's perfect. Anyway, we have a weird one today. You see, I'm a man of many systems. This is a server that we built on camera not too terribly long ago, but I haven't actually gotten that much use out of it. So, we're going to do something very strange today, and we're going to combine this with my video editing PC, but in neither of these cases. You see, I have a problem. The video editing PC is very, very nice and very, very fast, but it is extremely limited in expansion. I can't really upgrade it, I can't really expand it, and I've found that even though it has a fast CPU, I'm starting to get a little limited by what I can actually do with it. This system has a CPU that is almost as fast, and it can be easily upgraded to a CPU that is even faster. So this system already has my attention. I'm sure that was great for the microphone. Most importantly of all though, this system, the server, has a ton of PCI Express lanes, meaning I have all sorts of expansion capability that this video editing PC does not have. So, as loath as I am to abandon the Core i9 for a Xeon, that is what we're going to be doing today. Now, neither of these cases have been super great. This server case has really poor fan everything. It's kind of scuffed. It was bad to begin with, to be honest. And it just doesn't have anywhere to store hard drives, despite being a server case. Also, this server case doesn't have rails to attach it to a proper server rack. And the ears here, yeah, this is pot metal that is not strong enough to hold the server, especially if it has more than like a thimble worth of metal in it, which it currently does. So this case is a no-go. This case that I put my video editing PC in, the sleeper case, has been pretty decent. Unfortunately, it's missing a foot, which is a minor annoyance at best, I know, but it also doesn't have any front USB 3. Now, I could go out of my way to purchase more, but this case also has another issue. It's micro ATX. That's not a super big issue with the micro ATX board that's currently in here, but this server motherboard is full ATX. So we are going to have to find something else to put these in. And you know, I think I have an option for us, but that's a secret. First, let's get what I want out of this case, which is basically just the power supply and the board. Then we'll get what I want out of this case, which is basically just the drives and the graphics card, and I will show you what we have in store. Luckily, I never really got very far with this server. It ran a PAL World instance for a little while, but honestly that was about it. I wish I had done more with it, but I mean, to be frank, I had bigger aspirations than I had wallet, so I couldn't afford to do some of the other things that I wanted with this server. So, I'm not too bent out of shape about moving it and repurposing what it's for. Did I really only screw in 3 screws? Oh my god. Well, that's not how you do that. But I guess it makes it easy to remove. And we're not reusing any of the drives in here, so I'm not super concerned about getting any of that out. I just want this power supply. Corsair CX750M is a venerable power supply, but it works pretty good. And that is that. That's everything I need. What the heck was that? Oh, I got more of these. That's kind of nice. That's everything I need out of this case. So we will be putting the lid back on and just putting it somewhere. Not entirely sure where yet, but I'll figure it out. That'll do. Okay. As for my video editing PC, there are still things I can do with this system. I mean, it is a pretty powerful system. It's just not super... The limiting factor is the expansion. So this would make a much better gaming PC than it would a video editing PC. So what we are going to do is pretty simple. We're going to go ahead and steal this graphics card out of it. This is our Radeon Pro WX5100. Not the most powerful card in the world, but it's nothing to sneeze at either. This is a good card. We will also be taking, is this toolless? It is. We will also be taking this awesome, is it 5 or 6? 6 terabyte hard drive given to us by Pefty Lefty, who actually I think gave us most of what's on the table today. We're going to leave the power supply in here, but we will be taking, let's see, do I want to leave this Kingston in there? I think I do. There's an NVMe SSD in here somewhere, and I need a small screwdriver to get it out. And I have one that I keep losing. Here it is. There we go. I don't remember who sent this in, but this is a 1 terabyte Western Digital Black. We're keeping this SSD for our installation. Previously, we had Windows installed on a 240 gig SATA SSD, and this 1 terabyte NVMe didn't really get much use. So we're going to fix that. Now, let's make a couple of small changes. First, let's throw in this RX 480, where it can be stifled in this case. That's fine. Everything's fine. Wow, there is not a lot of room here. Oh boy. There we go. That's in. Limited as this is. Okay, nothing's catching. That's good. It is a pretty decent match for the i9. Obviously, we would like something bigger, better, but I don't have a lot of better cards. So this is what it's getting. Now, I'm pretty sure that this case does actually have some 6-pin or 8-pin power, the power supply rather, but it will be buried, I think I see it, There we go. And this will power our graphics card. This case will get more storage later, but for now, this is as far as we go with this build. Because this is enough for me to turn around and use it for something else. Let's get that out of there. All of our fans spin. That's it. Tuck this out of the way. And now, let's build ourselves a video editing computer. So, there are a few expansion things that I really wanted to add, but I couldn't. One of them was this USB 3 card that was sent in by one of our wonderful viewers. This is a cool card, but it requires a PCIe, I think this is a 4X, and we only had 1X to spare on that board, so I couldn't install that. In the future, we will also be installing a SAS card, which requires an 8X connection, and once again, we didn't have any expansion that we could put that in. Now we do. We also want this. Now, that previous case, we had a card reader. Now, this will give us plenty of USB 3 on the front, and able to, we've got our card reader there, so that helps. Show what this is in a moment. Our previous case did not have any USB 3 on the front, and I only had one added by the card reader, so that did really slow things down when I had more than one USB 3 device plugged in. As for the case that we're using, this wonderful Micron case. This is absolutely fantastic. It's from the 90s. I believe this had a Pentium 3 in it when I first got this case. Slot 1. But I did turn this into a sleeper pretty much immediately because that Pentium 3 was bad. Opens like a clamshell, very easy. Technically, this also has a somewhat toolless design. There's some sleds down here that I'm not going to take off. But I've already glued in a front fan for intake, and this is a full ATX case. Now, how does this work? How do you secure a board to this case? Because it doesn't have your traditional standoffs. It has this very, very silly thing. So this hooks in down here, right into the mounting holes of the motherboard. This clips, well, it's supposed to clip above the board, just like that. Although this board I see doesn't particularly like that because it's got this piece of plastic on top. Honestly, that's probably just fine, so we're going to get some of this out of the way. And we'll slide this in. Now the nifty thing about this is that's basically it. To secure the board, there's a single screw on the far back of the case that screws into that little piece of metal and draws the board towards the back of the case. And that's it. Your board is fully installed. That is fantastic. Now real quick, I need to see if this cooler will fit. So before anything else is plugged in, let's see if this will close. Yes, yes it will. Oh, that is fantastic. Now, let's go ahead and get our NVMe SSD installed. That's going to go right here next to our CPU. Oh, it even has... That's too big. It actually has the screws. A lot of the times that I get these motherboards, the screws are nowhere to be found. So let's go ahead and pop this SSD right where it belongs, right there. Now we can put our screw back in. You're going to be a nightmare, aren't you? And that is our NVMe installed. We'll get our 6 terabyte hard drive installed. I believe I need some screws for this. Kind of like Dell had these. You know what? This might work. That's the wrong thread, but something like that. This might work. Might be too long though. Let's find out. Too long, indeed. But you know, I think we can just use a slightly longer regular screw and get the same effect. I suspect. I've got 2 of them here, so let's give that a shot. Think that'll do. Okay. Well, let's go ahead and get that secured. Good enough, I'd say. Now, this. This is pretty key to everything we need to do. And of course, everything's buried up in there. So I think what I need to do is get the power supply installed first. Now this case is designed to where only 2 of the screws actually get screwed in. That's one of the designs of all time, I suppose. But you know what? I haven't had a problem yet, and I've been using this case for years. There we go. Power supply installed. And since we've got our power supply installed, we might as well plug everything in. Ooh, that is going to be very close to our hard drive there. That's in. CPU 8-pin, which is around here somewhere. There it is. Why must everything fight me today? That's plugged in, even though it really didn't want to be. Stuff these up front for the most part. We've got SATA to plug in. That could be... well, no, that'll be just fine. There's one. And this DVD drive up front, this beige one, actually is a SATA DVD drive. Let's get that plugged into power. Now this looks like it requires SATA power. I'm not sure exactly for what, other than maybe for these fast charging ports here. So let's get this more or less plugged in. There we go. This is going to be a whole thing, isn't it? I need to take this gain port thing out. How is that even in there? I think I've got to take this front panel off. Yes, there we go. It's a very cool case. I don't think that this is going to be terribly useful for us, to be honest. So let's just pop our toolless drive things out. It does have a little temperature sensor doodad on it, but I'm not terribly concerned about that. We'll save this for another day. And in its place, this slightly out of place device will go. Snake these through here. Yeah, that should fit just fine. Now, of course, we don't have the luxury of a longer device like these are expecting. So we're going to have to just make do, I think. That's in. At least it's technically in, and that's the best kind of in. So let's get this connected up to SATA. Oh, that's buried pretty deep in there. That kind of sucks. So how am I going to get that to plug in? Okay, that's in. So we can go ahead and put our front panel back on. Yeah, that'll do. Get our USB 3 hooked up. Wherever that is. There it is. Oh. Some of the pins on this board are bent. But I got it. Okay. This is USB 2 for the actual case itself. Now the case actually had a different header on there and I cut it down to make it work a long time ago. So let's grab that SATA cable, plug it into a random one of these that is not at the beginning or end, mostly because there is some potential of that NVMe drive disabling one of our SATA ports, but if it does, it will likely be at the beginning or end. And get our SATA data connected. There we go. We are looking pretty good. What is this? Is this 1394? No. This isn't USB. This is USB. Is this our front panel connections? I think it is. We have a power button and 2 LEDs, that's it. Let's try this. I mean, how bad can it be? just as a temporary test, we'll put this back in simply because this card works with VGA, and we have a VGA monitor sitting right next to us. So let's grab our VGA adapter for use with that card. Okay, new plan. We're not going to use this card. We're going to use our venerable 4670. What's this? Oh, this is more USB 2. Okay, this needs to go here. I think that's everything. This is a chassis intrusion switch. I do not care about that. Let's get this installed. We just want to make sure that the system hosts and that we get, most importantly of all, an image on the screen. So let's get this hooked up. Do we have the front panel oriented correctly? We do. Okay. We're still going through our postcodes. This does take a while. It is basically a server board, even though it's kind of a weird Chinese thing. We're still going. Hey, we've got a screen. That's all we needed. Perfect. That means we can go ahead and install the rest of our cards now, confident that the system is still alive. As much as I like the 4670, our Radeon is a little bit better. So let's slap that in there. We'll get our USB 3 card. We'll put that down a ways. I need to get more of these nice white PCI slot covers. Put that in. We will tuck this up here at front simply because it goes with the power supply. Oh yes, that's right. We have another fan to plug in up front. I almost forgot. Okay, so I need a fan header. There's one. So, I can't really adapt this to the screen right now, but sometimes these USB cards can stop the system from posting. So what we're going to do real quick is do one more power on test. We're just going to wait. We're going to look at the postcodes, and we will see if we get our beep. That is bright green, I forgot about that. Still going through our codes. There we go. We've posted. Okay. And there you go. Even though we could not see the screen at the end, we now have a sleeper. Now, I did do some preparation before I started this video. The NVMe is completely blank. I moved all of that stuff over to the hard drive first, so I haven't lost anything. And that PC that was my video editing PC is also now completely blank. So at this point, I can install Windows 10 on this NVMe, and we should be good to go. It's been a little while. We started filming this in late October. It is now November 23rd. So, got a little delayed. I apologize, but there was a lot of testing that needed to be done, and I do have some results. This computer has been absolutely fantastic. But there's more news than just that, because we didn't install Windows. Also, I don't know if I bought this or if someone sent this in a long time ago, but this is a DisplayPort with HDMI adapter. So maybe, just maybe, we can finally view this thing on something other than my own personal monitors. This is using a HDMI to DVI adapter, so we're adapting twice. I don't know if this will work, but it's worth a shot. But we did not install Windows 10. No. I remembered not too terribly long ago. This is ready to be turned on. Let's see if we get a picture. We did a little experiment where I had to really quickly put together an emergency video editing machine. We did some tests on that, including Linux. So of course, that's what we went with. Ladies and gentlemen, Bazite. Now, why did I pick Bazite? Well, if I'm going to be completely honest, it's because it's easy. I do not have the time to sit there and configure things for 100,000 hours just to get something rendering 5% faster. I'll take it. Also, it is one of the more bleeding edge distros. It is not a bleeding edge distro, but it is very close to the source. So, I have had a couple issues though. You see, someone sent in a paid copy of DaVinci Resolve, so I really wanted to get that working. But alas, not for us. I do have reasons why, although it took me a very long time to figure out what was going on. Now, overall, I have almost cut in half the amount of time it takes me to render a video, just by switching to Linux. But, admittedly, the specific method that I chose probably would have worked on Windows as well. So there is that. Now, what's going on? We have Kdenlive open here, which, to anyone who can spell, is not DaVinci Resolve. They're two different programs. So the reason is I can't get DaVinci Resolve to work. I had a hell of a time. I could get it to install just fine. Again, thanks to the assistance of my wonderful Patreon members, link in the description below. But once I got it to install, it would crash upon opening. At first. Admittedly, I don't know what I did to actually get it to work. I rebooted the PC a few times and it wasn't working. Then I took it to work so I could work on it there over my lunch break and it suddenly worked. So, must have just been a fluke, I don't know. But either way, DaVinci Resolve did start working. Now, I had a lot of issues getting it to detect my footage. Some of the MP4 files that I would drag into DaVinci Resolve would be detected as audio files. Some of them would be detected as video files with no audio, and some of them would cause DaVinci Resolve to crash immediately upon me dragging it into the library folder. I still can't explain that because eventually that stopped happening too. So, I spent weeks trying to get this to work. I tried the free version of DaVinci Resolve 20, which, by the way, does actually have hardware acceleration. It's sandbagged, the paid version's faster, but it does have some hardware acceleration. And under Windows, it was pretty good, actually. I compared DaVinci Resolve 20, the free version, versus my paid version of Sony Vegas Pro 18, and DaVinci Resolve cut my render time by about 35%. That is huge when it could detect the file. That was on Windows. On Linux is where I had all the issues with it crashing and such. And just couldn't get it to work very well. But when it did finally work, I had no hardware acceleration at all. I tried with a AMD Radeon Pro WX5100. That's what's in here right now. That's my rendering graphics card. I tried with a Tesla P4, which worked under Windows, but ended up about, what was it? I believe I've got a piece of paper here somewhere. Okay, so under Windows, a generic test where I took my 2000 subscriber special and re-rendered it together as one part instead of two. Vegas Pro 18 under Windows took 42 minutes. DaVinci Resolve with the AMD card under Windows took 29 minutes. That's probably not actually like 33% faster, but it was pretty good. DaVinci Resolve with the Tesla card, however, took 49 minutes, so a little bit longer, and it resulted in a really weird corrupted playback file. It would play, but there were a lot of artifacts on the screen, and I couldn't do that. I also tested with the onboard Intel UHD 530 or whatever it is, 630. That is part of the i9 to 900. And it rendered the video in 25 minutes. I have been sandbagging myself with a dedicated graphics card, apparently. So, oh my god. I had forgotten how good Intel QuickSync was. But, oh. Will you wake up? This is one of the issues I've had with Linux. If the monitor goes to sleep, sometimes I have to completely reboot the PC. Sometimes it works. Looks like I've got a... God damn it. Great. Where was I? Okay. So, that was testing under Windows. I moved to the new motherboard. That was with the i9. New motherboard with the Xeon E5 2667 V4, I think it was. Check in a minute. And my render times were about the same. They were actually a little bit slower, but not by much. That tells me that we were GPU limited. I mean, we already knew that, so great. However, I did upgrade the CPU. We now have an E5 2697 V4, which has an awful lot more cores and a lot of room for expansion if I ever do get a new card that works with any of the programs I'm using. You see, I have a secret. I did not intend to use the WX5100 forever. And although the P4 is tempting, couldn't get it to work under Linux. Let's rephrase that. It did work under Linux, but Linux does not like it when you have multiple graphics cards, and the P4 doesn't have any video output, which meant that although Linux detected it and showed it as working, couldn't actually use it for anything, which sucks because the biggest issue I had with DaVinci Resolve not having the hardware rendering is because under Linux, DaVinci Resolve only works with NVIDIA graphics cards. Nothing else. No AMD, no Intel, nothing. Just NVIDIA. And other than the P4, I don't have a good NVIDIA graphics card to use. But that's why it worked last time, because we had a Quadro M2000. Pure coincidence. Under Linux, with the new CPU, which I should have some footage of me installing, do we just not have a screen anymore? Is this because I have 1,000 adapters? I don't know what's going on with the adapter. This is not a problem I have when I'm actually in my office trying to render. This is unique to the setup out here. I do apologize. But I've got more numbers. I was unable to test DaVinci Resolve with hardware rendering under Linux. But I was able to test OpenShot, Kdenlive, and a couple of other ones that I can't see now, apparently, including one I think is called Flowblade. Yeah, that program sucks. Kdenlive came out on top every single time, handily, sometimes by 2 or 3 times faster. OpenShot, for example, does have hardware rendering, but we're talking hardware rendering of that same file in about an hour and a half versus Kdenlive, which was 46 minutes. One might think to themselves, gee, Matt, that's slower than all of your options under Windows. But it's not. You see, that's 46 minutes from me dragging the files from the camera onto the computer and rendering the video. I can't do that with Vegas Pro 18, and I can't do that with DaVinci Resolve, because neither of them support the files that come off of that camera. Kdenlive does. With DaVinci Resolve, OpenShot, Flowblade, Vegas Pro, and yes, even the Microsoft's built-in video editor, which they tried to get rid of, but I kept it. All of those, I would have to run my files through Handbrake first, which means before I even begin editing the video, I've got about 2 hours of additional re-rendering to do. So I don't have to do that with Kdenlive. I can just drag the files in and it just works. That's fantastic. So even though the render is slightly slower, I speed up my workflow tremendously without having to transcode the clips first. That is huge. Now, the reason that I wasn't going to continue using that graphics card, I went out and I dropped $350 on an Intel Arc Pro B50. Because all across the vast reaches of the internet, I'm being told that the B50 is mind-boggling for video rendering. Not on Linux. Supposedly, it's supposed to work on Linux. I couldn't get it to work at all. I mean, it detected the graphics card. It worked in video games, so I know that the card's drivers were working. But anytime I try to render using the card in Kdenlive, it crashes. Anytime I try to render using the card in OpenShot, whatever else I tried, Shotcut, that other one, Flowblade or something, crashes. And I kind of need the program to stay running to render the video. So that's a no. Couldn't get it to work. I still have the card. I'm hoping that the drivers improve. I'm hoping that Kdenlive starts to support the card, because that's what I think it is. I don't think it's a problem with the card or the drivers necessarily. I think it's just a brand new card that just came out, and not enough people have them in their hands for companies that build this stuff to bother building it for that card. I don't think Kdenlive supports it. Or maybe I'm wrong. I don't know that much about Linux. I will fully admit that. Maybe it is a driver issue. I don't know. But for the moment, we're still running about doubly faster than what it was before, considering I don't have to transcode the clips first. So I am extremely happy. Now, I don't know what's going on with the screen still. That, again, does not happen when I'm in my office, but I was hoping to have a render going this whole time. That's not going to work. So, where do we go from here? Well, I've got to figure out what to do with that Intel B50. It is a cool card. And I had to do some really weird stuff to get it to work, because I got the half-height version, and they forgot to include the full-height bracket in the box. Cool. I bought a little riser, what do you call them? A rigid riser instead of a flexible one, allowing me to install a half-height card in a full-height slot. Works great, by the way. I love that thing. That is cool.
but didn't really. I shouldn't have bought it. Intel card didn't work. It would probably work under Windows, but the secret reason I did all this was to get away from Windows. I've got Linux on this, and I have Linux on my gaming PC. Both of them are Bazite. It just works. And I'm hoping from this point forward in my personal life that I'll never have to look back upon the spyware that was once a great operating system. And with that, I wish I could show you. Well, you know what? I know what to do. Now that redness, I know that's the adapter. Try that. I don't have to use this adapter in my office. I can just use straight DisplayPort. Yeah. Would you believe me if I swore up and down that it works just fine in my office? We're not booting. I kind of want to blame this adapter because, again, in my office, this works just fine. It's only down here that we started having issues. Oh boy, I really wanted to show you. Maybe I can take a cell phone video up in my office. God damn it. Well, can't say that I didn't try. Also, I did find out another issue. Now, this wonderful USB front panel thing here works great. Didn't at first. You see, I looked up the proper installation instructions for that little thing, and it turns out these two yellow ports on the side, the yellow USB ports, are not for data. They are power only. Granted, they can charge at like 3 amps, but I didn't really need that. I'm not going to be charging my phone on this computer. So I didn't connect them. There are 2 power inputs for that Akasa board. It's the card reader part is powered by the USB header. The blue ports are powered by the SATA power connector on the back of that unit, and these 2 just power ports are powered by a Molex power connector. Well, either the instructions are wrong or my unit's wired backwards, because it turns out that the Molex power powers the blue SATA ports, and the SATA power powers the power-only ones. So that took me a while to figure out. I thought that maybe my my internal USB 3 header was bad, so I bought another USB card for this. One with an internal header. There it is. Little tiny thing. Oh, what a roller coaster ride this has been. I'm very happy about the system. I'm excited for the future, but I am kind of considering reselling my Arc Pro B50. I really want to use it. I really want to use that card. I don't want to resell it, but it's sold out everywhere. I could, even though I don't have the full height bracket, I could probably still get more than I paid for it if I sold it on eBay right now. And, well, you folks know me. I am not always doing great financially. But at the same time, I really, really want to use the Arc Pro card. So, I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments. Should I sell the Arc Pro card and buy a better Radeon, which I know will work? There are newer Radeon Pro cards that are much better and much faster than this one that should just slap in and function. I have a pretty good power supply in here. I've got 6 and 8 pin GPU power connectors. It would not be hard. Or should I keep the Arc Pro? Or should I sell the Arc Pro and find some used NVIDIA card? I won't be able to go as good NVIDIA cards still sell at a premium despite performing worse than the Arc Pro in just about every single category. So if I were to buy a used NVIDIA card, it would be objectively worse. I don't know. Things are kind of weird. Let me know what you think. And with that, I suppose I should mention again, my Patreon is linked in the description below. If you'd like to send us stuff to help out with the channel, my P.O. Box is also in the description below. If you liked this rather unorthodox video, a like would be appreciated. Consider subscribing if you'd like to see more stuff like this. And with that, it's cold. I'm out of here. Thanks for watching. That little thing is not enough. See, I told you it works just fine. Just not down in the studio, I guess. Huh.